With only 2 weeks to the start of a brand new Premier League season, Arsenal remain on the market for a brand new left forward, with Andrea Berta very much active. Today we'll get the breaking news on a potential offer for Eberechi Eze. We'll also find out what's happening with Real Madrid's Rodrygo, as well as finding out about Arsenal's plan for Max Stallman. We'll find out who is Arsenal's new target for Fabrizio Romano, as well as breaking down the changes that Mikel Arteta has planned to get the best out of Eze Jacquet. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Baz14. Welcome back to your boys channel, and I hope you guys are doing sensational. Less than 2 weeks till the start of the brand new season. Andrea Berta's clock is ticking. So as per my friend, smash a like on this video if you do enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new, helping your boy on his road to 300,000 subscribers. But starting off with Arsenal's Max Stallman plan, Arsenal's 15-year-old star boy that burst onto the scene after a few fantastic cameos in pre-season. Stallman not only showing Arsenal fans the hype, but also the fact that it's quite real, impactful off the bench with strong cameos. Now according to James Ollie, sources said that Max Stallman surprised senior figures at Arsenal with his ability to take the preseason games in his stride. Sources have said the club are also conscious that he is, to put it simply, a growing boy, and Mikel Arteta is therefore inherently prone to protecting him. But sources have also told ESPN that the club is impressed by the support network that Stallman has around him, and that there are plans to offer him a professional deal around the turn of the year, perhaps in January. This is where it's going to be very intriguing going forwards. How on earth does Mikel Arteta use a player who is still a 15-year-old boy, someone that is not even legally old enough, to sign up for a gym in the UK, but with the quality so evident and in your face? Stallman was a bit of a game changer, coming off the bench with his fantastic dribbling ability, not only injecting pace into games, but ultimately causing teams problems. Take for example that cameo against Newcastle, a Premier League side that Arsenal have struggled against for the past few seasons, yet Stallman was breezing past the likes of Joelinton like he wasn't even there. And according to a former Arsenal Academy coach, what I love and will always remember about Mikel Arteta is he used to come to training. Even the under 12s, he would be there. He would be looking. He would talk to me and the other coaches about Max Stallman at that time. For a player that Mikel Arteta had training with the Arsenal first team at just 14 years of age, over the past 2 years we have definitely seen a massive change. Whether giving starts to Miles Lewis-Skelly, to also using more and more of Ethan Nwaneri. Now you've got Max Stallman and Marley Salman also getting minutes. The whole myth that Mikel Arteta doesn't give youth chances is a myth that has now been busted. The man that has made Bukayo Saka the player he is today. Yes, you can look towards Unai Emery for giving Saka his first ever chance, but it was Mikel Arteta that changed him from what was a left back to one of the best right wingers in the world. Now the attention turns to Max Stallman. Arsenal reportedly working on his first ever professional deal. The pathway is clear and the chances are coming. With 2 games now against Atletico Bilbao and Villarreal, it is going to be very intriguing of how much Mikel Arteta does use Max Stallman, especially as we close into the start of a brand new Premier League season. But talking of young talents and Arsenal still on the market, despite the signing of Christian Mosquera, a player just 21 years of age, it seems that Mikel Arteta is eyeing up another centre-back, because according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have made initial contact to show interest in French 19-year-old centre-back Eze Jacquet. Arsenal, like Jacquet, who recently signed a new deal at Rennes until June 2029. He is on the list as options in case of exit this month, or eventually for 2026. An area in which Arsenal have a fantastic level of talent ID, from the arrivals of William Saliba back in 2018 to even the signing of Gabriel Magalhaes in 2020 for the bargain price of just £30 million. Even though Arsenal have signed a centre-back this summer, in the case of Eze Jacquet, they see a player that is a potential future star from a Rennes academy that has produced so many talents. Desiree Doué, Matthias Tel and Leslie Ogochukwu. Arsenal have a history of going to France and signing young centre-backs. The prime example being our Rolls Royce at the back. William Saliba is a player that Arsenal took a chance on, an early signing for £30 million, which at the time was seen as insane money. But in 2025, Arsenal fans will know that deal was ahead of the curve, with it being the history of Arsenal to go into France and find young talents. It is a market that for me in the past few years, we have not exploited anywhere near enough. In the case of Jacquet, another player that's also from Bundy, the part of Paris that also produced William Saliba, this is not a deal to be a game changer next season. It is more about being proactive. With all the reports of William Saliba being linked to Real Madrid, we don't know how much longer he is going to be here for, even if Arsenal do win a Premier League title. As shown by Trent Alexander-Arnold, a player that came from Liverpool's academy, even if you're winning trophies at your boyhood club, the Real Madrid knock is different. So Christian Mosquera may have arrived, but it looks like Arsenal might have spotted another market opportunity. One less about 2025 and more about 2026. But as confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, a deal for Jacquet could also depend on any departures. That's where you've got the future of Jakub Kiwior. As according to Fabrizio Romano, Jakub Kiwior's future remains open with several clubs keen on signing centre-back. Mikel Arteta would prefer to keep Kivior. Arsenal have already rejected a proposal from Portugal in July. It's now up to the player, with a desire to play more as a possible factor. With the return of Gabriel Magalhaes, Kivior won't be a starter, alongside the ability of Ricardo Calafiori to also play as a left centre-back. But then you think about 2024-25. The way that Kivior stepped up in the games against Real Madrid, injuries are something that we saw last year have a massive impact on Arsenal's season. If not for Kivior, it could have been an even bigger disaster. So it makes sense to why Mikel Arteta wants to keep the player. But for a player 25 years of age and the peak of his powers, he has never been a guaranteed starter at Arsenal. If another top team is able to arrive, offer him a guaranteed starting place, it then falls over to Andrea Berta for a player that Arsenal still have under a long-term contract. Clearly a key part of our squad over the past 2 seasons. I want to see a decent offer arrive first. We're talking £30 to £40 million minimum. But in terms of Arsenal and their new signings, one summer arrival of course is brand new coach Gabriel Heinze. And according to the Gunner blog, Gabriel Heinze has made a big impression at Arsenal. He is forthright, direct and frequently loud on the training ground. While certain players relish that, it requires some adjustment for others. We have seen the photos of him alongside Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka. Heated as ever and definitely quite the character, but he's also a former player of a very high level. So as revealed by the Gunner blog, during Arsenal's open training sessions in Singapore, the outfield exercises included playing against a team made up entirely by Mikel Arteta's supporting staff, including a central defensive pair of Gabriel Heinze and lead physical performance coach Sam Wilson. When you've got a former player as a coach, of course you're going to have the experience. But more importantly, the arrival of Heinze has also had a different impact. The idea of making Arsenal far more vertical. For an Arsenal team that we know at times can be passive, Heinze has been seen working alongside a certain Miles Lewis-Skelly, with the Gunner blog confirming Gabriel Heinze has spent significant time working on defensive strategy with Miles Lewis-Skelly. And here was a video also recorded by an Arsenal fan, showing Heinze alongside Lewis-Skelly one-to-one, trying to teach the player of how to cross. In the case of Miles, you've got a talent that has so much potential. We've seen the ball carrying, we've seen the passing ability, but for a player mainly uses Arsenal's left back, his crossing is definitely an area to improve. Rightly so for a player still 18 years of age. For Heinze to arrive and identify that straight away, the entire idea is to give Arsenal a different avenue of attack. You then think about Arsenal's 1-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur, in a game that Arsenal had so much possession in the second half, but witnessed a very familiar problem. It's about time that we talk about the horseshoe. The idea of Arsenal getting into that final third, keeping the ball there and passing around, but unable to find any penetrating passes in behind. A problem that we face for nearly 2 seasons now, and for me it comes down to our passing. With our chief creators being Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard, players that prefer the ball to feet, instead of making dynamic runs in behind. When you've got those profiles, you also need those dynamic runners. With the likes of Havertz and Martinelli also coming to feet, it gives Arsenal a real lack of dynamism. But in the case of Martin Odegaard, you also have to question the profile. Because take this example here, Arsenal in transition with runners in behind, Odegaard taking way too long to release the ball and missing the passing opportunity. The reality is that Arsenal seriously lack risk takers. Players on our final third that pass the ball with conviction. Odegaard may be fantastic at combination play, but if we're talking about that typical KDB pass in behind, striking through the ball instead of looping it, it's an area where he's definitely found lacking. But at the same time, Mikel Arteta will be aware, and that's when you look at our 2025 season. Take for example Martin Zubimendi. When compared to La Liga midfielders last season, his numbers stand out straight away, not only being fantastic at ball progression, but also in terms of possession regains. The arrival of Zubimendi gives Arsenal an extra progressive passer, but you've also got the arrival of Noni Madueke, a player despite being heavily criticised, profiles as being very much direct. The first thought of taking on his man and running him behind, as confirmed by the Gunner blog, with the Arsenal players returning on Monday, it will also include new signing Noni Madueke, set to return after a shorter break, after taking part in Chelsea's Club World Cup campaign. All eyes are turning towards Mikel Arteta, having spent £48 million on a signing that quite a few fans were against. The profile itself, when you look at the stats, does make sense, but at the same time we also need to see the results. For a player that might be 23 years of age, this Arsenal team is crying out for extra directness, something Madueke can offer on paper, but how does it work out in the actual game states? But in terms of runners in behind, you've also got to talk about our brand new striker Victor Gyokeres. After a debut against Spurs that wasn't eventful, getting only 2 touches of the ball, there was a lot of talk after the game about how Gyokeres is already a flop. And to me, it's the prime example of another overreaction. Having not had a proper striker since Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, to then have a more natural focal point, Arsenal are going to have to change the way that they have been playing. As confirmed by the Gunner blog, Mikel Arteta does recognise that the acquisition of a new number 9 will need a shift in style, and according to the Gunner blog, work has already started. Since the resumption of training in July, Mikel Arteta has begun work for Arsenal to be more direct and vertical by playing through the lines due to the arrival of Victor Gyokeres. Because when you've got a player that has an abundance of pace running behind, according to the stats, Gyokeres comes into Arsenal as the second fastest striker in the Premier League, among 36 others, reaching a max speed of 35.26 km an hour, which is only beaten by Erling Haaland. Arsenal are definitely going to have to adapt tweak their styles into ways that make Gyokeres the focal point, the same way that we saw Man City do so in 2022. With the arrival of Erling Haaland, a change in profile, where they were used to Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling. The arrival of Haaland may have given them a 40-goal season striker, but we also saw Pep Guardiola change his style, become more focused on that singular goal threat. For a striker also known for not having many touches of the ball, but being very effective when he gets it. In the case of Arsenal and their pre-season, the Spurs game was far from impressive, but I also believe it skewed a lot of the narrative. Where the games against Newcastle and AC Milan, there were signs of Arsenal being more vertical and a change in style, even though the Spurs game wasn't perfect. As reports have confirmed, Mikel Arteta is totally aware that Arsenal do need a change, but change does not come overnight. With 2 games in the Emirates Cup against Atletico Bilbao and Villarreal, I wonder if we're going to see Victor Gyokeres start. Because according to Graham Bailey, Victor Gyokeres has made it clear through the process that he is ready, and my word, he has blown coaches and teammates away already. One word, wow. This is the response that I have heard from inside the Arsenal camp when asked about Gyokeres. But in terms of the striker market, even though Arsenal have signed theirs, we've also got to keep an eye out for our rivals. With Arne Slot's Liverpool the current Premier League champions, despite spending over £80 million on Eberechi Eze after the sale of Luis Diaz for €75 million, as confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, they have made their opening bid for Alexander Isak, worth £120 million plus add-ons, a bid rejected by Newcastle, as they won't open the doors at least until finding a replacement that is not guaranteed at this stage. According to Ben Jacobs, Liverpool have no plans as it stands to bid again for Isak this window, with even David Ornstein confirming Isak is coming back to the UK and will resume training at Newcastle United as the squad returns from Asia. It looks like Newcastle are trying to hold firm and keep Isak for one more season because their pursuit of a certain Benjamin Sesko is looking far from easy. Despite making a club record offer of €80 million for Benjamin Sesko, as confirmed by David Ornstein, Leipzig view Newcastle's offer for Sesko as insufficient, despite them offering exactly what Leipzig wanted, which in the case of Arsenal and Andrea Berta just goes to show that's why they moved on to Victor Gyokeres, securing the striker for only £55 million. In the case of Sesko, even €80 million still seems not enough for RB Leipzig, but where Sesko goes will be decisive. If he goes to Newcastle, Isak definitely goes to Liverpool, but if Man United are able to step in, who are reportedly open to swapping Rasmus Højlund, we could see Isak stay at Newcastle. But at the same time, a lot of fans are asking the question, how on earth do Liverpool have the money after already spending £100 million on Florian Wirtz, a massive 80 on Eberechi Eze? The answer, my friends, is the ability to sell their players. From securing a sizable fee for Luis Diaz, to now as confirmed by The Athletic, closing into securing £50 million for young midfielder Tyler Morton. That's where Arsenal need to learn, failing in the past to get the right money for their players. If Liverpool were able to secure £50 million for the youngsters, just think about the amount of young players that Arsenal have let go over the past few years, without even giving them new contracts. But in the case of summer 2025, we do have quite a few fringe players, with the likes of Fabio Vieira attracting interest from West Ham United. You've also got the future of Albert Samuel Lokonga, having recently posted on his Instagram, "I want to see what happens if I don't give up." In terms of his Arsenal future, it's always been clear Arsenal are more than open to a sale, but waiting for offers still to arrive. But in the case of the future of wide forward Gabriel Martinelli, according to Ben Jacobs, Arsenal have informed all clubs interested in Gabriel Martinelli that he is not for sale, which to some fans might come as a surprise. But that is because you've got the future of Leandro Trossard, a player that Arsenal are allowing to leave, reportedly looking for £30 million. For Gabriel Martinelli, even though teams have liked the player, the likes of Bayern have gone for Luis Diaz. Saudi clubs are looking for other profiles. Maybe it will be one to watch come the end of the window. If certain teams get desperate, looking for a brand new wide forward, I'm sure that if Arsenal get a sizable offer, if they're able to find a replacement, we could see a massive move in the future of Gabriel Martinelli. But moving on to Arsenal's left-hand side solution, after Mikel Arteta confirmed, following a 1-0 defeat at Tottenham, I am very pleased with what I have seen in most of the things that we've done, but we missed something in certain moments. That preciseness, that moment that unlocks the results, the moment to turn results in our way. It's further confirmation that Arsenal need more Mavericks. So with Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze, reportedly a top target, recently involved in a preseason friendly against German side Augsburg, the signs were there straight away. Where most Arsenal players struggle in tight spaces, Eze was most certainly thriving, not scared to drive central and take his players on, with more and more levels of innovation. In the game that he also provided a fantastic assist, a disguised free kick for Jean-Philippe Mateta, who was able to tuck the ball into the back of the net. For a player that did have a £68 million release clause, as reported by Ben Jacobs, Arsenal are not worried about Eze's release clause expiring after holding talks with Crystal Palace, with the whole idea of Arsenal trying to negotiate either a better payment structure or somehow get the price down. Now, according to Fabrizio Romano, Crystal Palace expect Arsenal to arrive with an official offer for Eberechi Eze very soon. The question then becomes, how much is the offer going to be? To lose their best player for anything under £68 million will definitely need quite a lot of negotiation. They don't owe Arsenal any favours. and they won't want to lose the player. But also in the case of Arsenal, if you do get Eze over the line, where is he actually going to play? When looking at his heat map last season and comparing to Gabriel Martinelli, Arsenal's current starting left winger, you can see the difference straight away. Martinelli being far more touchline, while Eze being far more in the half spaces. The more that you think about it, the more that you start to realise, Eze will help Arsenal's left-hand side, but he is not a natural touchline wide forward. Despite having a more disguised dribbling style compared to Gabriel Martinelli, he is nowhere near as explosive as the top wide forwards in football, but for a profile that could thrive massively as our left central midfielder, an area currently occupied by Declan Rice. When you've got the defensive quality of Arsenal, players that don't need protection, against those deep blocks where Arsenal need solutions, Eze playing centrally as that number 10, alongside a Odegaard or a Wanyeri, gives Arsenal far better variation in their attacking patterns. So here's where things get intriguing, because according to Ben Jacobs, Arsenal see Eze as a number 10 and not as a left winger. And that's where you start to wonder, is our starting left winger going to be Noni Madueke, or are Arsenal on the market for another wide forward? With the reports linking us to Rafa Leao of AC Milan, you've also got potential target Rodrygo, who according to ESPN Brazil, did not want to leave Real Madrid. But things have changed in the last few weeks, with the player now prioritising a move to the Premier League if he is to leave Real Madrid. A player confirmed by the reliable hand of Arsenal, seen as a top target for Mikel Arteta, but with a price tag up to £70 million, the idea of signing Eze and a wide forward only works if we see two of our wide forwards depart. Not just the departure of Leandro Trossard, but maybe even Gabriel Martinelli. So with Arsenal set to release their 2025-26 official third kit on Monday, a lot of pressure is falling on Andrea Berta, with our left-hand side still nowhere near the level. Eberechi Eze will help that, but could we even need more? As reported by James Ollie, Andrea Berta has been left to lead negotiations in many instances this summer and regularly reporting back to the Arsenal key decision makers. Sources said the Berta is clear and regular communication has been another welcome characteristic. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of the social medias, and the links are down below in the description. But that was all of your latest Arsenal transfer news today as we close into less than 2 weeks to the start of the brand new season. We have got 2 games in the Emirates Cup, but before that, I would welcome another left-sided signing. Eberechi Eze or wide forward Andrea Berta. You know what to do, my friends. I'll see you next time. Take care and a bit.